Verification of posting, Angela.
The agenda was posted on Friday at City Hall, State Bank of Arcadia, Arcadia TV and Appliance, and the city website.
Thank you. We have a 16-item agenda. I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
By Feltus, second by Slusher. Any questions? Hearing none, clerk will call the roll.
Olsted.
Yes.
Slusher.
Yes.
Feltes.
Yes.
Wojni.
Yes.
Mezek.
Yes.
Motion carries. Public comment.
Can we get a new battery or a new clock? We're about 4 minutes behind on that every time.
Maybe we'll move it
Can
up.
somebody look at it?
Sure.
Maybe Bill, can you put that in? Can you squeeze that in, Bill, next week, or this week? Thank you.
Public comment? Any other public comment? Anything else, Bob?
No, I'm good.
Public comment, hearing none. Move on. Presentations, we have none this evening. Old business, we'll have 3 approval of meeting minutes from the 18th, 21st, and 28th.
So moved.
Entertain a motion to approve the 18th by Feltus, second by Mezek. Any questions and or changes? Hearing none, clerk will call the roll.
Slusher.
Yes.
Feltes.
Yep.
Wojni.
Yes.
Mezek.
Yes.
Olsted.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 4B, approval of meeting minutes from September 21st. Entertain a motion to approve. Motion by Mezek, second by Feltus. Any questions? Hearing none, clerk will call the roll.
Feltes.
Yes.
Wojni.
Yep.
Mezek.
Yes.
Olsted.
Yes.
Slusher.
Abstain.
Motion carries. 4C, approval of meeting minutes
So
from
moved.
September 28th.
Second.
Motion by Feltus, second by Mezek. Questions? Hearing none, clerk will call the roll.
Wojni.
Abstain.
Mezek.
Yes.
Olsted.
Yes.
Slusher.
Abstain.
Feltes.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 5A, the ambulance board. We have members from the ambulance board and the director. You guys want to take the floor from where you're at, since we only have 1 seat, I guess.
Can the speaker come up here, please, so we don't have to? Well, I mean, I don't know how many are gonna be,
It's
but
not the red shirt, Cletus.
Cletus, it's 5:30, not 7:30. So maybe we can move the ambulance for a minute.
I came out my cows.
I think you'd be better off not having that happen. Right, Kevin?
Yeah,
Where's the on switch?
yeah.
Okay.
We invited you to attend, basically to give us an update on, obviously we have a new ambulance that should be coming, correct?
Here.
It's here,
In service.
in service. Status of a new building. We've
Okay.
kind of heard some, rumors, and what we want is
Sure.
just, obviously Kevin keeps us surprised, but
Mhm.
us as a council, as well as if we have questions, instead of directing them to Kevin, we can direct them directly to you guys. So,
We have attained the property for the new ambulance building, which is just would be south of Arcadia Clinic. Mr. and Mrs. Glenn Wright donated. It's almost it's about approximately 1 acre
okay.
property there, and there is city water and water and sewer that runs right along front there.
Okay.
So it's a heck of a nice spot, and we do have this. This is just a preliminary drawing. It isn't in proportion. I think it's a little big. The building is a little big for the proportion to the land, but it's just a sketch that.
so your building is going to be closer to Brevea than further away from Brevea, according to this, is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Okay, more north, okay.
And we have been working on plans with the architect, and we've got those just about final, but then they have to go to, we've got to get the HVC on there and the electrical yet. This is just building plan. I guess, and probably I'm guessing the person to work with the city for all the setbacks and our heights and stuff would be Bill.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you wanna, we should have a discussion on that, and I don't know who you're working with as far as the engineer or architect,
Mm-hmm.
but it's gonna need, state building permits.
Right,
And so
right,
the
it'll
process-
have to be state approved plan.
And so and I don't know what the timeline is on that, so we we just wanna be mindful of that.
Sure.
I know sometimes it can take up to 3 months for the state to approve plans. And, you know, we've been to that cycle before, and it's, if you don't, I assume that the engineer will prepare those plans and submit it to the state, so I think you'll be good there, but we can have that talk.
But I guess what I need, you mostly for now is the site plan. We gotta come up with a site plan and
Yep.
get the elevations and the setbacks and everything, so we get that right.
Go ahead.
Are you intending 2018 to start this? Or
We-
are you gonna start in fall now?
Nope, we hope to break ground in spring.
Okay.
Just a quick comment on that. Is it possible to not have the garage doors face the main road?
Well, it's possible, I guess, but,
The reason I say that is when you come down the hill is as far as aesthetics.
See, I don't
have it
when I
look like
built
a
the house.
garage out front, to have it, you know, the other buildings are mindful of it, maybe have like a drive in, drive out. There isn't there enough space for
Oh,
that?
sure
I don't
there is.
know how much space there. You know what I mean, like say drive in from the north side, exit from the south side or something like that, so you wouldn't have to back in.
I agree with you, Mayor. When we built our house, I did not want the garage doors facing the road.
Mhm. But the reason, this isn't a house, this is a building.
But you're still gonna have to back out.
Ambulance is the
But
main.
if you drive
main
out, you
part
could get out of
it.
there faster, couldn't you? Than backing out?
You'll be backing in, you'll be driving right out.
Or you'll be backing in, okay.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, I'm just,
And we can,
Cosmetics.
you know, we can go through with drive-through, but if you got a
right,
extra.
well, and maybe if, I mean, either way, we're gonna be closer to a main road than what we currently are now.
Sure.
So our response time should be quicker,
Mhm.
no matter what, I would guess.
We're-
I mean, here
yeah,
we're coming
we're-
down a residential street,
We're
a
close to
quarter
the,
mile.
It's just like the fire station, there's no way around it.
Okay. I was just wondering if, you know, if it's possible.
well,
That's all I'm
it is
asking.
possible to turn the building, you know, so. And we have been working with Mr. Wright a little bit. That was one of his stipulations. He wanted to know what the building was gonna look
Sure.
like because donating the land, and he says, I've gotta look at it every day of the year.
Right.
So he wants it to look nice, and, but he thought the doors facing the, highway or whatever would give it a good look and, you know.
That's just my personal thought.
Me too.
No, that's fine, there's, you know, and, I don't know, I guess, we haven't kicked it around a lot, but can,
I'm just saying, the other buildings, you have two beautiful clinics on each side, not saying the building ain't gonna be beautiful, but if
Mhm.
you're gonna have a nice entrance, it looks like on one side of it, but you should have that so everybody can see that instead of the garage doors.
sure.
I totally agree.
But it's all about getting the emblem
I
out.
get that, I
Well, if you
get
back
that,
up-
I'm just giving you my 2 cents.
Sure, that's fine, but, and I think you realize that, this is the major part of that's why the ambulance building is there to come up.
Right.
Can I see the picture?
Sure, sure.
Well, just a couple questions I had, cause I don't know how the current ambulance is actually, to a point. So who would own the building? It's owned by the service?
It's owned by the service, which is owned by 8 municipalities.
Okay.
Everybody would, according to population it runs, and that's all, so. The city of Arcadia is the biggest contributor or owner, you know.
Cause it's all put out by, same as the fire department, by equal.
Population. Ambulance is by population.
Not by equalized value.
No,
So, plans for the old building.
don't really have any plans for the old building. The old building, I think how the contract reads, when we leave it, it goes back to the owner of the property.
Is that how it states?
I'm pretty sure we
It
could,
is.
we could get a,
Sure.
we'll take a look at the agreement once, but I'm pretty sure that's how it's.
Cause that'd make a great storage shed for the fire department.
Mm-hmm. And there's possibilities, I, you know, I
Talk
don't.
to you about it or not?
Yeah, a couple, guys had mentioned it, but it, I guess we could check it out and see if they have any plans for it, if they plan to just
As far as I know,
flatten
they
it.
were gonna flatten it, but
So, yeah, yeah.
before we've been kind of researching this a little bit.
Sure.
Before we can go any further, we need to know what's gonna happen to the old building, whether you'd sell it to the fire department for $1 or.
Mm-hmm. We can find out what we can do.
I was just saying, if we flipped it, we could look at this and put the doors, when they pull out, they can just 2 seconds in, that's all it's gonna take to get rid of the building.
Obviously, you know, we get money from,
If the landowner's happy with this, then go with that.
we budget X amount of dollars to the ambulance service. Question I have is, with a new building going up, is there any increase in expenses, and what would they be?
Well, the expenses we have now as far as renting and everything, we hope that'll cover our running expense of the building.
Okay.
There shouldn't be a lot of difference there. As far as the building itself, we're hoping to do this mostly all in donations, so.
Okay. Just because obviously with 8 or 9 municipalities,
Mhm.
if somebody decides not to join, I mean, right now we sign a year-to-year contract, I believe. And is
It's
that
3 years.
Every 3 years?
Yep.
You know, that's something that maybe we should look at doing it longer and locking other municipalities in.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, maybe not, I don't wanna speak for any other municipalities, but if
But it-
someone
yeah.
were to drop out, that's a hell of an expense on the remaining. And we all know, not just, you know, city townships, our home budgets obviously are tight, and we wanna
Mhm.
make sure that, you know, we can have this paid for the long term. Cause I think
Sure.
that's my biggest fear.
Mhm.
Obviously, I've been to your meeting before, and Kevin has told us, you know, people don't pay,
Sure.
and it's a
Yeah,
big
yeah,
unknown,
that's-
and it's gotten worse, correct,
Yes.
over the years?
And it, you know, it's, I guess, it's not just us, you know, Whitehall has just about the identical problems as far as what they get paid or collect on, which we collect about, 50% of what we charge. So
Okay.
it's hard to run a business that way. when you
Right,
don't
and that's,
get
I mean,
paid.
that's what my, you know, fear in
Mhm.
in the future is, it's a good idea now, and it can be expensed, and then as it goes on, we can't do it. And
Sure.
that-
Yeah.
It's an issue I would have. Questions, other questions, comments?
No, other than if you can find out what your contract states on the old building.
Sure, and then we can determine that too by finding out what their plans are for it in the future or whatever, if any, so.
Well, and I thought Gary Bowers, they were just gonna destroy it.
Okay, sure.
And then something like in the future, if you could give us, we, once in a while, on occasion, will get, response time type issues, you know, that it's slow or whatever.
Mhm.
We can get a rough idea of what your typical response time is, if you know it. If you
Well, we
don't,
put- Well, I put together an annual report
Okay.
every year, and so I don't know if Kevin, probably going forward. Kevin
maybe I
will
did
have
see it
that to
last year, I
share.
just don't
Yeah,
recall off the
and
top of
then-
my head, but if you can give it to us, that's something that we have.
Yep.
I don't need those answers right now, but it's kinda nice as a defense mechanism, that if this is how many calls you guys get, this is how many you respond to, this is how many are in the city of Arcadia, or, I'm sure you have all that information, this is our typical response time, is averages this.
Yep, every year, we put, and even if you wanted it sooner than that, I can give you, any range you want, but on an annual basis, I'll put together a report that really details all of that, so. And it probably, cause I don't know, you probably missed it with, Kevin coming on last time.
Sure.
so. But, yeah, that's out there.
Okay.
I can get any data at any time.
Any other questions, people? That was simple enough.
Keep up the good work.
Yeah, and then I guess you work with Bill in regards to the,
Yeah,
setbacks.
I think
mean,
we should set up a meeting and get together and,
Yeah, just, I think I have your email, so,
Uh-huh.
I'll send you an email if you could just respond with,
Okay.
times of your availability,
Sure,
and then we go from there.
okay, sounds good.
Like 3 o'clock in the afternoon is good for you, so.
All right,
And that would get you in for chores.
Sure.
Okay?
thanks,
Like
folks.
3 o'clock meetings.
Get milk that would work.
Maybe I can
Well, you got the
teach
wife
Kevin
doing
how to
it.
milk, huh?
Yeah, you got the wife doing it.
Oh, wait, one question about,
Sure.
The budget document that was submitted to Angela, is that final, or is that preliminary budget?
Did you get a?
Right, and that, the intent is for you to, for all the municipalities to take it back and,
So
but that's your
So
final.
So they do have
that's
the
our final
final.
That's our final
proposed,
proposal
yes,
to
proposed
us.
budget.
Okay.
Okay.
Deb,
We
does
didn't-
that have the final, like the final, population numbers in it too?
That was taken off of, well, the estimated ones at the time, but I'm assuming that those will probably stay the same.
We should confirm that,
Okay.
just in case there was a change or
And-
somebody.
Yeah.
Those numbers should be out by the 10th of October.
Oh, okay.
Do they, just a question I thought of, I'm sorry I told you to leave and I hadn't thought of it. Why is it by population, by ambulance, and the fire department's by equalized value?
Do not know, that's the way it always,
Always
the
has
ambulance
been that
size
way.
has been.
Probably how it was negotiated.
I think most ambulance services are that way. It's by population.
Well, I mean, I get to a point you have a greater risk here, but I mean, you think of highways and accidents, you have a greater,
Mm-hmm.
obviously your population is here, but your highways and your back roads, I would imagine you respond to more accidents than you do in the city of Arcadia.
Sure.
Well, it's about 60, I think at least minimally 60% of our calls.
Are in the city
And it-
of Arcadia?
You're right, and then you combine, the city and the town carry the most, it's like, it's
Well,
probably,
sure.
yeah,
Probably close, and even
percent.
equalized value would be
Yeah,
So you're
close.
talking Town of Glencoe and Town of Arcadia.
Town of Glencoe, Arcadia.
what's even more, well, I'm just
Town-
talking
Well,
about the
you
city,
said town,
city of
city.
Arcadia, I'm thinking of town of Arcadia, but
Okay.
you're probably at 70% if you take all three of those
Okay,
entities.
that's, when you said
Yeah.
town, I just
Oh, I was
wanted to
just
know.
wondering, like,
The number of
what's the,
calls.
so the city of Arcadia isn't necessarily the majority of your calls.
It is.
It is, yeah.
It's a huge majority of the calls, yeah.
What do you see, 60?
And,
So roughly,
Right
I
around
would say
there.
around
and you
60%.
have that on a pie chart too, don't you?
I have it, yeah, I have all
You
that
know,
data.
we
That'd
can
be
get you all that
interesting to see,
data.
Yep.
Just seems odd to me all one's
Sure,
emergency,
yeah.
emergency, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I-
but taking into consideration, you know, the business and industry side of it and, you know, the population growing during the day, you know, that I think accounts for a lot of it as well. Yeah.
But your response time is really really good. When a call comes in for Arcadia ambulance, you guys, even independent, you guys are up and going. You guys are doing well.
Well, because we work on a volunteer basis, the volunteers have 10 minutes to get to the garage. So being on call, you know, we have to allow them to sort of just go about their daily lives. And then they have that 10 minutes. So 10 minutes to get to the garage from when they get the call. And then they go wherever the call is. So I guess what I'm trying to say is it's not like leaving the minute they're dispatched. They do have time to get there. So they do the best they can, given the fact that they're volunteers.
Right, they're not right
Yep.
there. Unless
They're
they
not
would
right
come back
there.
from another call, then they
So how
would.
does that
If
work
they
when
were
you guys
right-
pay, just cause I don't know, how does it work when you page for like a second rate, when you guys are out, how long do those people have?
If there are people available, it would be sort of the same guideline, the 10 minutes, but we maybe would not always have a second crew available either. We aren't guaranteed. With our operational plan, we have to guarantee one first out unit. And then that's really all we're really bound to with our license. But if you wanted quick response, like 2 minutes, then you have to pay an hourly wage all the time.
And when one ambulance goes out and somebody's on call, who sets that second rig up?
Well, we have
How does
a-
that happen?
Well, we have we have a system called I Am Responding that, it's a web-based system that the county also sees as well. And we go and we put ourselves out there if we're available, and then all of the ambulance personnel can see that there's somebody out there on call. And that's sort of like how we communicate. There's breakdown with that as well. Joe, you're familiar with I Am Responding.
we're trialing that
Sometimes
right now.
it's, sometimes it's a matter of quick texting or quick calling, and
somebody-
you do the best you
Okay,
can.
get somebody, get to
They-
come. So I listen to the scanner a lot, so I wanted to know how it happened for the
I
second
never
rate.
knew that, Bob.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I've
They
been,
pick one and they
been up there
post it, and
Okay.
it comes up here,
quite a bit the
the list
last,
of all the members.
last year or
Okay.
so.
And the county can
And
see
when a
that.
call goes out, Bridget
Okay.
gets on the phone, gets another, crew set up. If two goes out, she's on the phone again and gets the third crew set up. So it's-
See, and
So
what we,
really, there's never really per se, a second crew on call.
schedule, no.
Okay, or
During
scheduled.
broiler days and actually for the.
Well, yeah.
events.
For special
A
events
large
we do.
events.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And when we had the hospital staff got on the phone right away and called people for a second crew. So we lost a lot of efficiencies, you know, when the hospital went away. So we do the best we can to get a second crew. It doesn't always happen, but we do the best we can.
But most of the time, you are successful in getting a second crew on call.
Because then I'm guessing the second crew, if we can't get one, I'm guessing it comes from Whitehall then, right?
Yeah, that's
Depending on where.
mutual
Where
aid,
they can get it.
mutual aid, and we go for them as well.
Or Tri-State, I guess, if it's on the
Winona
other
too,
side
if
of
it's
the
Dodge, we
Yeah,
call
depending on
Winona.
where it is.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, if they're in a pinch where they need to work with the patient, they can grab a fireman's drive, so.
sure, we do that as well. Yeah, in an emergency, it's sort of you do the best you can with the, you know, the situation.
I can vouch for our awesome people. 4 times in the last 3 months, we've had all 3 rigs out and on calls at once. Yes, so people are like, why do you need 3 ambulances? Well, sometimes you hit a deer, sometimes it has to go for service, so
Ashley.
that shoots out one all the time. And then when you have these instances
Don't hit any deer.
with 3 calls at once. And now that we have to go further, because that's another thing we should bring up that they can relay. When people, I get asked this even when I go to the grocery store. If we go to someone's house and they say, I'm male, I want to stick to male, that's okay. We'll take you where you wanna go. Most of the time, insurance will pay for wherever you wanna go, especially if it's in network. If it's something that's going on that we can't say, they'll probably cover it, there's a form that people can fill out and say, we'll cover the difference, they're willing to pay the difference in mileage, because even Medicare will always pay the emergency fee. But if someone says, well, we don't wanna have to go to Whitehall, or we don't wanna have to go to wherever, whether, that's an option. And it's a law that we have to take them if they're in sound mind, to tell us where they wanna go.
See, like me, I'd say I wanna go to Rochester.
And that's okay.
So really, since the hospital closed.
You wouldn't drop them off part of the way.
So what you're saying is that if they're picked up and you do not want to go to Whitehall first, they can take them to either La Crosse or Eau Claire instead of stopping there and get called back and go, okay,
Correct.
that's
You know,
what I wanted to
since
hear.
the hospital closed, I mean, you know,
That's what I wanted
our
to hear.
volunteers perhaps were out for an hour. Now, on an average call, they're gone for 5 hours,
Sure.
many times. So, I mean, so really, you've got some awesome people in your community that are doing this job for you guys.
Just so it's out there, because that's a question I get asked, like, do
But
we
if you're
have
getting
to go
asked,
any
people are
further?
either thinking it or they're asking somebody else and the
No,
answer's
that's
not
yours.
either.
We just,
Not being
Sit
answered.
at the
that's our
rally.
sign.
You gotta sign it.
Get at the
And
rally.
And
sign
Joel
it.
takes
That's our
it.
signage.
She went around.
Oh, Rowley did sign it.
All right, any other questions? Thanks again.
You bet, thank
Hang on
you.
one second, no.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Christie Brisson.
Jen, you're up next, the hot seat.
Well, here, I'm giving each of you a magnet, so you guys can come and visit the library and all the services that we provide. And I was gonna explain that, we've had about 100 programs so far this year, and includes about 1,500 people have participated in all those programs at the library, from the beginning of the year to the end of the summer. And we started story time, and they're gonna be on Thursday evenings at 6 o'clock this year instead of in the mornings because of the 4-year-old programs. It's been a little bit harder every year to get children to come in. And Then also, we're going to, this Tuesday, have TCC Co-op, they're gonna be doing a program about Craigslist and eBay, and that's going to be Wednesday at 2 o'clock. So if you guys wanna come and learn more about eBay and Craigslist, you guys can sneak over. And on Monday, 23rd, October 23rd, we're gonna have it at the Arcadia Historical Society. We are going to have a storyteller, Tracy Chipman, she's coming from Menominee, and she is a guest storyteller, and she is going to tell stories about the witching hour. And we're gonna have Kathy Nelson play the organ with scary music, but it's a family fun event, so bring your whole family. So she'll she goes all around all these different libraries and does that. So, and she's recommended by a lot of the libraries. And then Mrs. Claus will be back in December unless somebody else wants to do it. No. And we're also going to be doing a coding class sometime in November for some younger children. It's teaching them how programs are put together and easy ways to connect with the children and things like that. And then, as you know, we are a National Historic Building. And I had just put this out that, just a worksheet about the city allocation. And since it's a National Historic Building, we have to keep it updated. Let's see, we've outgrown it, which you guys know that. But in the back, it's starting to crumble in places, and it needs some tender loving care, like tuck pointing. More, okay. Oh wait, that's my gift. What? This one?
No.
Oh, what? Okay. Sorry. Oh, thank you. I dropped them. Well, you can have them. I'll drop them everything here. So, we got an estimate, and it's gonna cost about $9,000 to tuck point. The back part of the building is really bad. And Mr. Raleigh, if it wasn't for Raleigh, we'd probably still have water in our basement, so thank him. He cleaned up the basement and everything, and between him and, not Gary, we're getting an industrial dehumidifier that costs about $2,000 down there to try and keep the water down, because the other two dehumidifiers are completely underwater. So that's gonna go. But we're also, Wegman is giving an estimate to maybe raise and smooth out the basement, because there's always water laying there, and see if they can slope it, and then the water can go to the drain and the sump pump that Raleigh will be putting in possibly. And he's gonna give us a couple different ideas on what to do with that one. And the carpet hasn't been replaced since the 90s, and also the wood trim is rotting on the outside, right below the roof. And we received quotes for landscaping for about $12,000 to $15,000. I thought that was a little too high. So I might check with Mr. Whalen and see if maybe we can do something with the class or something like that. Through the school, and, because I thought I could do that between Raleigh and I, right? I get them involved all the time.
In his spare time.
Exactly, I know. And I found out from Mr. Herman that they have about 17,000 items in their school library. Well, we have about 19,000 items in our little library. So, and also, let's see, since the maintenance of effort hasn't been increased for the last 5 years, I'm just asking you to take a look at it and see. I know you guys are short on money too, but because of the building and it's on the National Historic Places, I just was asking for an increase of 5% or whatever you'd like to give us. If you could.
Jenny, I know the county funds some of or all of the libraries to 85% of what you're asked at, correct?
Well, by the state law, they're supposed to give 70%.
Okay.
So Buffalo County gives 70% only, and the only ones we can ask for more is Trumbull County. In the last couple of years, they gave 85%.
Okay.
But that's just covered because of our increases of wages. We can't do anything else because of, or not increases of wages, increases of the insurance and things like that. So basically there is no more money left after that. And most of that money, they've asked if they could go for programs and things like that for the community. So that's why we've been trying to do movie night with the chamber. We've been doing that and trying to have more programs with that money. So, and we're going back again and asking for more money this year, but that's not until November, I think.
There's no other not municipalities, but townships that contribute or give you money?
Jackson County gives us, I don't have it
Well, I
with
mean, like,
me.
say like the town of
Right.
Arcadia,
The town of
town of Glencoe.
well, that's with Trumbull County, yeah, that is all connected with Trumbull County. So if that is that amount is based on, is what gets checked
Well,
out.
I mean, it's
Trumbull.
just too bad, cause we fund that plus as a city.
Oh,
You know, we give, our portion pays Trumbull County, which Trumbull County then in turn pays you, plus we fund the building, and
Right.
this is nothing against you.
oh, no, no, no,
It's-
no,
What I'm saying is, it'd be nice if the town of Arcadia could give us the library X
Right.
amount of money, because as we just heard, the population by
Right.
the ambulance,
yep,
the town of Arcadia is very close, so I'm just saying by users,
oh, yes, but
it's
that money
probably a
does-
good portion
Right,
would be used by other townships
Right.
to help
I-
out with the funding of the library.
right, and that's when, I don't think your money that you give to them comes to the library, that has to come through the taxes of them, and that's what the Trumbull County and Buffalo County and Jackson, and then I think we get $20, I think, from Eau Claire County, because we have a couple truckers up there, so, but, yeah, they can't double dip twice.
So like, what is the breakdown, a rough idea, of city residents as compared to other, I'll just say other?
That would have to come back to you on that one, I am not for sure on that one. You know, well, we have more city residents using it than
Sure.
the other ones using it, but mostly it's Glencoe Township, I think, and a lot of Arcadia Township, you know, and then Dodge Township, some of them, and so I can get you that information though from the state report that we did last year. Did I give you a copy of the state report this year? I can't remember.
I think I saw it last
Okay.
year, but I
Okay, yeah, so I can get you that information and things like that, that'll be no problem.
was just thinking of trying to help out the funding,
Oh,
where
yes,
it's not
yes,
just so heavily based on the city when there's so many other users that are
Right,
using it in the
right.
other townships.
Yep,
you know,
yep.
to help us out.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a resource for their residents as well.
exactly, and that's why we, since we're in Trumbull County, can only go to Trumbull County, we can't go to Buffalo County and ask for their increase, or now Mondovi could go and ask for an increase, but we can't, we can only get 70% from the other ones.
But can you go to a township and ask certain
Well,
townships?
because their insurance, or I mean, not their insurance, their money goes to the Trumbull 2 funding, because that's what it's based off, is how many checkouts are from the town of Arcadia, and then that goes to Trumbull County, and,
So study
I-
for.
I was just asking, I was wondering if it's
Right.
like a line item, like they could say, all right, we would like to put in a
Right.
line item of $10,000 out of the town of
But-
Arcadia's budget to go towards to the library.
I think,
But-
Rob, maybe this is where you're getting, but,
Yeah.
so the town of Arcadia pays in taxes and portion
Correct.
of that goes.
but you guys don't pay for checkouts. You
Oh.
allocate the money, you don't get paid for how
Okay.
many, we don't get any money from how many people come to the library that are from the city. That is,
Okay, that.
yeah, just the counties,
But it'd be interesting to see what
the breakdown is, yeah,
Yeah.
I can get that.
like
to you.
our payout per checkout as compared to the
Right,
the
right.
town's payout pay
Oh,
per
yeah.
checkout.
Yeah, no,
I would
can do that.
imagine theirs is a lot, considerably less.
I'm not for sure, but I will check. I will check on that for you. That's on the state report.
Cause they don't, the county doesn't give one.
That's right.
That $85,000 is not just to that's not just to our library, correct?
No, that's just to our library.
To our library.
Yes, that's just
not
to
all
our library.
from the county.
Right, that is. So, and that was, well, let me see, that might be all of them together.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all of
That's
them
kinda
together.
what I thought, that's
Yeah, that's all
Trumbull,
of
so
them.
that's what I was
Trumbull,
saying, you
Buffalo.
start.
Right,
Okay.
so that's what that is. And just to let you know too, I checked with, Winding Rivers, and just to let you know, cause I know we're talking about building new or whatever. These are all the libraries in the last 5 to 10 years that have built new or added on. And they're everybody that has a population of 2,000 or less. Did you find
need
this
one.
too? You need one. I'm sorry. So just for your information, if you have any building. There you go. Oh, yes, you may. Oh, boy. Here you go. Here's our services too. Did you want some?
don't see treasure on here.
Oh, down here, because it was about over 15 years ago,
Oh, okay.
that's why I put those way down there.
Okay.
So, and Black River Falls just revamped their whole library too. So, repainted and carpet, and yeah, and our carpet's from 1990 something.
And with all my experiences at the library, Maya still, she was there not this year, but last year, so she's still good to come. I
Yes.
see Saturday mornings, that would be
Yes.
perfect for me to get her down there.
Perfect, perfect, you can. And I don't know, this is like Christmas time when we had our Christmas party. So, and our Christmas crafts.
Donnie Slavy.
And then we had story time for the kids from school. And then we had over 30 kids come in the
Must have been
summer, so
cold
we
that
had to have an
day.
outdoor story time. And then the utility truckload, or Arcadia electric cane. And this is just another from story time.
Cool.
And then we had about 30 kids show up for Buffalo County 4-H cane and did a program with us, so we had about 30 kids, and we had that at the Joyce Lennox Pavilion. So,
She's there again. Does she know what they're doing?
well, she brings her grandchildren. Yep.
Perfect.
Yep, yep.
Sure.
So,
You gotta get her out of her shell, get her to talk more.
oh, yeah, right.
Any questions of any?
Any questions?
Nope.
And I
That's
will
good,
try
then I'll
to
bring
get
her
that.
down.
Sounds good. I won't be working this weekend.
No, that's,
Yep, yep, but,
because see, Mary's in the hospital, so when we, we've been there for 6 weeks, so when we get her back home, then I'll bring her down. Her mom takes her.
Sounds good.
perfect.
Thank
Sounds
you.
good, thank you.
Oh, go ahead.
I do have a question, Jenny.
Yes.
Does the city have an added responsibility to the upkeep of the building since it's on the National Historic?
Well, in the code
Historical.
book, it shows that it's supposed to, you know, help with historical buildings, but I don't know to what extent.
How do you imagine that got put on the national historic places? I would imagine like the city was the applicant.
That could be,
I don't know.
But in the code book, it has all the
I'd have to
rules and
look at that.
regulations,
Okay.
right, so that's,
What, in the question becomes who owns the building?
but it's supposed, I mean, it can't crumble because it's on the national,
Right.
but that's why, yeah.
This
so.
isn't Shackleton.
That's the good and the bad, right?
Pardon?
Marvelous?
Yeah, I don't know which one it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
They got put on the national
Yeah.
historic. Do you know what year that was put on the nat?
Ooh, I think 1993 is, you can look on the plaque's right outside. The plaque is right outside, so. Yeah. And I guess we have to keep our old windows, so we still got those. 2 of them open up, so we can jump out too if it ever, yeah.
Don't jump.
No.
What?
Because it's on an historic, you gotta keep the old windows.
Yeah,
There's.
So you're gonna
Oh,
remodel the building and keep the,
well, I know,
Yeah.
somebody had told me they were
It's
trying to get
on
new buildings for the Independence, you know, theater up there. And they said, no, you have to keep your old windows there. Yeah,
For the Opera House?
for the Opera House, yes, it's for the Opera House,
I
so.
can see keeping the same size or same
Yeah.
style, but
Yep.
you know, they're different, they can do anything now.
The more energy efficient thing,
Exactly.
they make them look old.
Right, that's why we
Yeah.
put plastic on it, so. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, have a good day, you guys.
You too.
Too bad we couldn't merge that library with the high school library and pay them a fee.
There's state regulations,
You still gotta
DPI
take care of
and
the building.
whatever.
Yeah, we still have to take care of the building. Yeah, that's not going
Yeah.
away. Anyway,
Little dry powder.
public hearings, we have none this evening. Number 8, discussions, action items, 2008 preliminary budget review. This is still a,
I wanted to take a seat, I'm gonna pull it up on the TV so that we can go through it.
still a moving document.
Hello?
I'd like to thank Angela and Bill and all the department heads for putting a lot of time and effort into this. But it is nice to have it a couple months before it's actually due, right?
I heard someone talking, it was Cletus. I thought he had to go milk cows. Must have the boys on that one, right? Cletus.
Oh. They stuck around for a while.
Okay, can everyone see that?
That's better.
No or yes?
Yeah.
Because if I have to go, it's the first switch up.
I'll let you look over your shoulder, Bill, cause I
Yeah.
can't see.
That's fine, that's fine. So this is a preliminary budget, and what we try to do was, with the requests that we have up to date, show that in this report, also with up-to-date information as far as the revenue side. And at this point, we tried our best to try to balance the budget with the information we have, understanding that there may be changes to come here, because we don't have exactly all the numbers yet, but we do intend to have that along with the conversation tonight and the information provided by the council tonight in a final budget format for the public hearing. So if you look at the third column there where it says budget, with the one asterisk there, it shows the current expenses from the operating budget, the capital improvement, debt service, and special account. The expenditures at approximately $2,729,963.42. Our projected revenue for 2018 is currently at $2,730,041. And you will see in the next portion here, this assumes that the council would take the max allowable levy in 2018. The last column there where it says 2018 budget request, that's the one with 2 asterisks. That's considering all of the requests by all the department heads. And you can see there that that would put us over budget by approximately $218,000. Any questions on this page? If I'm going too fast, please feel free to stop me also, or if you have questions. So on page 2 here, you will see the list of what we expect as revenues for the general fund. And the first line there assumes that we take out the max allowable levy, and that would be an increase to the general fund of approximately $23,000. As you can see, the county aid for local streets, that stops. We will not receive any of that funding or that revenue this year. That stops last year. And we were anticipating this over the last budget and this budget, in that we took it out of our operating budget last year, and put it into a one-time expense, anticipating the upcoming budget this year. This is an additional list of revenues on page 3. On page 4 is the first section of the Administrative Services Department. As you can see there, we went down on some of the special meeting pay. The areas that it went up include health insurance, and you'll see that throughout. So as far as the color coding, the green represents the budget changed from 17 to 18 reduced. The red represents an increase, and then the yellow represents areas that we are still considering or doing research on as far as can we go up and down. And the reason it flashes yellow is because there's such a difference in the budgeted amount, what would be the pink column compared to the actual amount that we spent so far, which is the blue column.
Marlis, your copy, did it get cut off?
Yes.
And Bill, when you're talking about when I don't think I specified to Lindy to make this in color when she copied it, so we're
Okay.
looking at black and white.
Okay, well, we'll just go slow here on the TV and just make sure that you stop me
Four.
if there are any questions. It looks like everyone got cut off.
Yeah, mine got
Well-
cut off. Yeah, mine's cut off.
And I can make a couple quick copies, it would.
Yeah.
I think Bill talked.
Mine didn't get cut off, but I looked at it enough that.
Does anyone want copies?
Does anyone want a copy?
Yeah.
We got one up here.
Okay,
I've seen it enough, I'll tell you that.
we will make sure that the next one is in
I
color.
can look over Bill's shoulder if somebody else needs.
Yeah, that's not cut off, that's.
I got it. I'm using
Joel?
this colored one.
You see it?
I can see the TV.
Okay. I don't have to look over Bill's shoulder.
So then you'll see, again, increases.
Use it.
Increases to health insurance, and you'll see that represented here throughout the document. Going on to page 5. You see there's a code maintenance in there. Since we switched to code 360 or E-code in the general codification, every time we update the ordinance, we do have to send that code to that company so that they can add it as a supplement to our overall code. We anticipate some new ordinances coming up here, so that's why that's there. Insurance expense here, this is not health insurance, $65,000, $75,000. Right at the top of the screen there. That's in anticipation of property insurance going up, workman's comp, et cetera, liability insurance. HRA expenses, we did go down on that, budget down on that for 2018. As you can see, the current to date is only 3,400. And Angela, you wanna talk a little bit more about why it was budgeted so high in 15? I mean, excuse me, in 17?
Yeah, when we looked at the expense, from the year before, through the budget, what got missed in Bill and I communicating is, when we started with WEA Trust in 2016, we had to buy in, it's a consortium, so every municipality that joined this consortium paid an extra month's premium, kinda to help, so that, we wouldn't have these big changes in our premiums and stuff, so we bought in an extra year, and that was charged to the HRA expense, and so, of that premium, the general fund paid some electric, water, and sewer, so when we went back and analyzed what we're actually spending for the health reimbursement account, we needed to pull that piece out, because that was a one-time, not to be repeated expense, which is why we feel comfortable budgeting less for 2018.
And then you'll see an increase here to, increase in budget item here to the flood mitigation expenses at $10,000. That's shown there for, current obligations that we do have with Myers Valley Creek. So whether that's additional repairs or whether that's through an agreement that we previously had, so that we would have those dollars available. I don't believe it was budgeted previously. And I do want to make a note here where it states section 205 flood study. It doesn't show anything that's budgeted in 2017, and it shows that we have an expenditure of $154,000 at this point. That's coming out of what we put aside as part of the flood study project. So if you remember, we allocated approximately $571,000 for that. That's where it's coming out from, and so that's why it shows up like that. Just in case you're wondering about that.
And that will get moved to the capital projects fund for next year.
And then last on page 5 is the stream gauge, maintenance. This is with Trumbull County. We have petitioned, the Joint Finance Committee at Trumbull County to, see if they'd be willing to cover, this expense, and right now, we haven't received an answer back from them yet. But we expect to hear back from them soon. I've left it in the, budget for now so that we don't miss it, later. And Mayor, you attended that, so you can, if you want to, you can discuss what was discussed at that meeting.
What was that now? Sorry, I was reading something else.
This is the stream gauge.
The stream gauge, I approached the finance committee last Wednesday in regards to that and asked them for the $7,700 of what is budgeted. I said that the city last year, unless I was misreading the tea leaves, didn't have a whole lot of want or need to maintain the stream gauge at $7,700. Bill and I figured that we can better utilize that $7,700 and put it into Raleigh's probably department to help out the city as far as immediate flood control. $7,700 isn't a lot of money, but can start with something. First response I got from them was that they would maybe like to share it. I said, well, we already share the expense of all the other 13 gauges around Trumbull County. And if we're looking at sharing the expense, why is the city of Arcadia the only municipality that solely funds it, which we are?
This is a different gauge.
This is a different gauge where, right now, Dan Schreiner, Emergency Management Coordinator, maintains the other gauges. We're now here, USGS maintains our current gauge. Obviously, they have a lot of budget issues, and they're in a tight spot. The feeling I got is the willingness of them to pay for it. The gauge here is useful, not necessarily to the city of Arcadia. It is a flow meter. I don't know if Raleigh uses it a whole lot. Dispatch uses it probably more. The people downstream may utilize it more. Dodge Township, for instance, they would see what the river's doing in Arcadia, what rate it's increasing at, to see what's headed their way. But
we do use the historical data for our studies.
But
are ongoing.
But I mean, getting rid of it is not. I don't think is a good thing. I think it should be utilized. That was Dan's opinion was there as well. He says it makes the whole system work in conjunction. But I said the city doesn't have the funding really to pay for this, and or feel it's just our necessity is no other municipalities paying for it. So
Why should we, if it's benefiting everybody else downstream?
right. And then that was with the response I got from one of the members of the board that said, well, then maybe you guys should pay for all the ones upstream. And I said, we already do, because we already paid, we were being taxed twice. I said, our residents they're paying for all the gauges upstream, as well as maintaining here, where all the other townships and municipalities in the county are simply just paying for the ones out there. They know the city's feeling, and I told them myself or Bill would come back if they had any other questions. I think we'll be okay to remove that, so.
We'll wait until we get.
I have a good feeling, but
We'll see.
they have budget concerns like anybody else, but I said last year, it almost got removed from the budget. Like I said, unless I was reading the tea leaves wrong, we could spend $7,700 in the city to help us with flood control.
So on page 6 here, we have LED upgrades. At a previous meeting, it was expressed that we should be moving in this direction. I don't know if that's still what the council is thinking, but we did budget $5,000 for that. That would be moved here actually to the operation budget for the streetlights. MSDS Online as a online inventory of our hazmat, chemicals. That allows all of our employees or whoever wants to, in an emergency situation, to be able to access our database. And then obviously laser fees, this is the annual fee for maintenance of our electronic document management system. The next big line item here is a recommendation for, general fund full-time employees, at a 3% increase, and that would put an increase of $17,000. That does not have part-time, in there. If you were to consider part-time, you can increase that number to approximately $20,000. And then this is not considering the PD, part-timers, part-time wages, special event pay, etc., which we'll see later on in the PD department. So, as you can see, as the proposed budget for the administrative services, there was officially a decrease in requests from $528,800 to approximately $452,400. Now, these additional new budget line requests, this is what I was talking about when we were talking about the budget summary. In the last column here, where you've seen an expenditure of a negative $218,000. In that last column there, where that arrow is. So that considers these new budget line items right here, which we did not build into the proposed budget because it would have shot us over, way over our budget. But wanted to note them in this, and we'll remove them in the final proposal, but so that you can see the items that we're looking at.
Or proposed by each department.
So administrative services, currently we budget for engineering services through the project cost. When things pop up that need engineering services, we don't necessarily have a line item for that to come out of. And those are unplanned expenses. And then city hall maintenance, we haven't had any budget line items for city hall maintenance. Some of the items that we'll be talking about tonight, items that have come up the roof, the AC, things that have been they have not been budgeted for. They're starting to turn their ugly head as the building gets older. Something that should be considered. And then on page 7 is community development. We have in there the increase in wage for myself for the contract, and then the $5,000 for economic development. That was the request that economic development committee had. Increases the overall budget by approximately $4,600. And in here, the budgeted line requests for development costs, these include anything from, say, appraisals to certified survey maps, environmental costs, study costs, and those are things that if council wanted to get more aggressive in persuading development, those are things that can help. And then here we have housing code enforcement. The Housing Building Standards Committee continues to work on housing maintenance issues, and $5,000, garage sales, paying for Raleigh's team to maintain that on a sale weekend, so that people can throw things away to pay for those bins, etc. So those are for consideration. The next up here is the municipal courts. Municipal courts stay pretty much the same. If you look at the bottom line number, we did see an item there, the court legal fees, that's significantly reduced. There's a difference of approximately $6,000 there.
$7,000 difference between the actual and the budgeted. So next up we have operations department, and this is page 9. As you can see, there's been a change in health insurance that's actually gone down. And then I do wanna note that we've, you know, every year for the supplies and expenses or the maintenance items in here, mostly where you see the green, the sidewalk capital outlay, the storm sewer supplies and expenses. Every year we've budgeted a number for that, so, you know, for traffic controls and expenses, we've always budgeted $7,500. For the traffic capital outlay, we budgeted 2,000. Sidewalk capital outlay, we budgeted 10,000. Storm sewer supplies, we budgeted 15,000. And so to cut back on the budget dollars for this year, to make the budget work and to make more proper use of the funds that are in those accounts, we're proposing that instead of budgeting it every year, and instead of having it, you know, come back not being used at the end of the year and going into the general fund, we're proposing that whatever is remaining get moved into a separate account, and then in the following year budget an amount to make it whole. So for example, if you look at sidewalk capital outlay, every year we budget $10,000. So at the end of the year, instead of allowing that $10,000 to go back to the general fund, putting the remaining amount into a restricted account for sidewalk, and then in 2018 budgeting the difference between 10,000 and what was remaining to bring that whole. Does that make sense? You look lost.
No, I think I understand that.
So you'll still have, the overall effect is that you'll still have that amount of amount of funds in that account, and you're not changing that. But what it does is it shifts dollars from
It trues it up more.
2017 to, correct, it trues up the account from 2017 to 2018, and then it provides also the incentive for Raleigh's crew to address those that are necessary first. And say, for example, if he wants to say for a larger project down the line, may be able to do that. And then on page 11, you can see here, we went up approximately $500 on most of the park expenses here. It looked like we had a lot of expenses in parks this year. Memorial Park Wi-Fi, we maintain that now.
Is there
Although
still,
that still should be funded by the donation bill,
Will it?
yeah.
This in 2008 to
Well, it was,
2019,
yeah.
which should be the first year, correct?
and then we were gonna look at that again, right? I have a question. The Deer Park, expenses were so much more than budgeted for, was that because of the fence?
Well, I don't know if you wanna help me out with that, Raleigh, I mean, they're expensive to maintain, you know, with,
Well, it hit, I mean, am I looking at this right, that 500 was budgeted and
Was that this year that somebody ran into that fence?
that's what I was
I
wondering?
think so.
Okay, so that's probably what that.
I was just wondering, I couldn't remember if
Yeah,
it was in the
I'm
winter,
That was early this year.
I
Okay.
think that was,
But I
wasn't
couldn't
that like
remember
a
if that was-
$900 fix or something?
I couldn't remember if it was,
So that's
was it
pretty half of that.
December or January?
Marlis, I'll look into that and then just make a note the next time we're looking
Okay.
at the updated version of the budget,
Okay.
if that's the case.
That's what it was, I just can't remember, I know it was in the winter time, I
Yeah,
don't
and
remember
he
if it
didn't-
was.
He didn't, it was already turning spring when he fixed it. Because of the frost.
Yep. Yep.
And then on page 12 here, you can see, the clerk wages have gone down, as far as the budgeted number. That's partially because we hired more, baker this year. Part gasoline's gone down. And then so the total impact to the operations budget was a reduction of approximately $30,000.
What was that?
A reduction of approximately $30,000. And then Raleigh didn't have any new budget line item requests for the operation, but we'll discuss his request for capital equipment and capital projects later on in the capital budget. Next up here is the police department. As you can see, insurance has gone up again. There's a police employment expense increase of approximately $2,000. That's for the training of the new police officer. And a reduction to the police investigations fund from $5,000 to $2,500. And the same idea here is to pull the money that's not used annually into a separate account, and then building that up to, I believe, $15,000. So the impact of this budget is an increase of approximately $14,000. As you can see, the new budget line item request, there are a few things that the chief did request for. That's an increase to the field training wage. It's a period of time when where they spend training from currently $7.25 to $14.50 per hour. Increase in part-time officer wages, and to move all of them to $16.50 per hour. And then increase special event pay officers from $16.50 an hour to $17 an hour. We don't know what the impact of that is. We have requested for those number of hours to see what the difference is, and have not received that information yet.
I'm okay with the two, but the first one I'm not.
Yeah, this 750 to 14,
Yeah.
725, yeah, doubling that. You know anything about that, Bill?
Just so that we're more competitive.
Yeah, and I think the idea there is anybody that's on his training, those are people that are in training, right?
Correct.
Are getting paid $7.25.
25 cents.
$7.25. They may be in their own vehicle as a police officer, getting paid the same wage as somebody that's not against Raleigh's department mowing the lawn.
I can see bringing it
That,
up.
I mean, that,
I can see
they
bringing
have
it
a lot
up,
of
but not double it.
responsibility at that, and that's a very low wage. That's the idea, but.
I can see bringing it up,
I
but
agree
not doubling
completely,
it.
I agree completely with you. Doubles a lot.
You know, at $13 an hour is what they, what they start out at, maybe that's more reasonable.
I was thinking
And I will
about-
tell you that paying $7.20 minimum wage when they go through training, I mean, that has been the case since I started.
Well, like 10.50 sounds better to me.
Well, what is minimum wage?
$7.25.
Really?
Here's at $7.50.
It's on the back of that door.
I'm pretty sure $7.25.
I'm pretty sure it is too.
My.
That was the reason.
Whatever comes.
I'll just take that into consideration.
Alright.
I think we're gonna have a conversation on these items, at a later time also. We can bring it back for a couple more discussions, but keep in mind that if we increase, elsewhere, we do have to decrease
Elsewhere too.
Correct.
The easiest thing to do is add stuff into the budget.
Yeah.
The hard thing, right?
Decrease.
Angela?
Currently, the budget is balanced, but, again, there's room to move. We just have to make sure that we try to keep it balanced. Well, we have to keep it balanced.
like the federal government.
Borrow more.
Just bring me more money? Yeah. Can't you do that up there?
Hey, Bill, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Is our balanced budget, does it include what we're having to repay if we borrow money? If we,
It does not. The debt service for the repairs to Turn Creek, Oak
Myers Valley?
Street, and Myers Valley does not include that. We don't know what that amount is yet. So we'll have to get
Again, these are just requests.
What's my favorite word? Denied.
The next budget here is recreation. And as you can see, I think we did a pretty good job taking a closer look at the expenses here. We come out pretty close, about $4,000 difference between the 17 budget and 18 budget. There was a question here in regards to the aquatic center manager wages. Scott Leonard was previously there. I think we're attempting to get water and street or operations to cover that. And I don't know if that conversation has been had yet. But once we do find that out, we'll go ahead and put that in. There are no additional operation requests. All of us are in capital improvement. Page 17 here is the capital improvement fund, or capital improvement budget. Community development is 3,600 for banners. For operations here, if you look through there, we have listed, previously budgeted for Green Bay Avenue. McKinley Maple is completed. Gaffney Road, East River Street. And with Green Bay and East River, there are some issues there with stormwater. We're hoping that we can redirect some of the dollars that we are receiving from the state towards the levy project, towards those two street projects. Thus, then allowing us to budget more specifically for Gaffney Road. If that does happen, if we can move some of if we move the dollars that we've restricted for those streets to Gaffney or to a different project. On here you'll see a street project for 2018 at $70,000 for Park and Spring. That's mostly a asphalt overlay project, but since we've submitted this, I've been informed that Madison Street is more urgent at this time. It does have some water pipe issues there and water valve issues, in that it's an important project for water. We did get a cost estimate for that, and it came out to there are also some storm sewer issues there. The project estimate came out to a total of approximately $162,000.
Is that total project cost?
Total project cost plus engineering, plus legal contingencies.
That's from the fire station all the way to Ashley?
Yep.
Wow.
So, so this was estimated in 2012 and updated. And then with a 50% split, which I would propose with water, you're looking at 80,000, approximately 85,000 instead of 70,000. You can move that from.
Is that,
Yeah,
Raleigh, is that as big of a need for the street as it is for water?
Well,
I mean, I know.
Gary's got a valve leak, and you seen him digging by the fire station today, anybody?
Yeah.
Yeah, he woke me
He's
up.
got a valve there, and he's got a valve in the back. And what our theory was when this all came about, because this was all in a matter of like a day, when Bill approached me about Spring and Park, and then this Madison thing came up. And what I said was, being Madison's gonna have to be done here somewhere along the way, because it is in pretty tough shape. It doesn't make sense for Gary to go and patch these spots up nice, you know, spend $3, $4, $5,000 on each patch. Have someone come in and professionally do it, and in 2 years from now, we tear it all up. So my suggestion to Bill was, let's put Park and Spring being there kind of back off out of the beaten path, and we'll just put some blacktop in there for the winter, and then possibly redo those streets next year. Now, we did have some trouble during the flood with some manhole stuff, so, I mean, if we're gonna do it, let's fix that up, and the beauty of it is Gary's got water in there, that's all he's gotta replace, he doesn't have to replace the sewer line. Sewer line's a lot deeper. So I think we can save all the curb and gutter on the side towards Badgerland or Compier or whatever they call themselves today. We can save all that, we only gotta dig close to the fire station to do the storm sewer and the water, put new curb along the fire station, pave it, and
Can you
I make
put a
it
bigger
sound like
storm
it's a-
sewer in there?
well, that's stuff we'd have to look into.
Well, I think, you know, if we can save on that cost, right, you know, we all know that collects there, not just cause Joel lives right there, but I mean, that's,
Right, one
I
suggestion
mean,
was,
that's a problem spot. I mean, that's a spot no different than by the elementary school that pools water consistently, right? That
that's
they
because
just
there's
said
only,
that.
from this side of Ashley to the pumps, there's two 24-inch lines. That ain't big enough. And no matter what you put by the fire station, that ain't gonna change the pipes that go underneath. One suggestion was, in due time, stub it off and take some of that water to the Deer Park pumping station. Well, that wouldn't have helped us either, cause that went down at 1 in the morning, but if, you know, that was just a suggestion, so maybe if they do fix that storm pipe, maybe it'd be worth at least stubbing a short pipe there, so someday you could do that.
Put a no wake sign from the
No
Bowling Alley and Golden Plump.
You know, there was talk of going to,
Would that come out of operations budget then, or the water department, cause it'd be water that's on top of the road, I guess?
Well,
Going
that would
down
be-
and
I would
by the-
propose that as a split.
Oh.
Joe, by the back intersection, teeing it off and taking a pipe across and going to the river, putting a pump station over by Ashley's guard shack there,
The reason I say it, Raleigh,
just things.
the reason I ask is it just seems like whatever plan you have of fixing certain streets, they always get put on the back burner because the water or wastewater one.
Well, I got a list of 5, and it don't matter what order, I mean, I could name in what order I'd like to do them, but,
You know what I'm
I
saying?
mean, I'd love to see the Gaffney Road, but let's face it, that's gonna cost a lot of money.
But the
Well, we're getting there.
common
We're
sense
getting
way of doing
Right.
this is to do it with water and sewer,
I-
so we're only,
I agree
Blacktop
100%,
once.
but it just seems as though when the time comes, whatever yours are always the ones that you have priority are never priority.
Well, I think the highest priorities now are Green Bay,
Right?
Gaffney, Pearl, or Park and Spring, and then
Madison.
Madison. Right?
Not Pearl, not Pearl.
Not Pearl. Although Pearl is high priority, is somewhat of high priority for water.
There's a 10-inch water line on Cleveland, a 8-inch on Main, there's a 4 going in between.
Yeah.
A 4 feeds the fire station.
Yep.
So I can see why Gary wants to fix it.
So, I mean, Madison Street is within that top 5.
Because of those trucks full of no time.
So, I mean, and again, Green Bay is gonna be, we're gonna take a look at Green Bay as part of the levy project, because we don't know exactly what the water pumping, facility's gonna be. And East River Street, that's a storm, that's a, you know, what we have proposed there as to fix the flooding, the local street flooding there. Hoping to get that addressed soon by the levy project, so. A little bit of change in priorities here because of the levy project, but, that's not to say that Green Bay and East River may get done later. I mean, they could be a project that could be done in 18 to 19 as per the
Levy
budget. Yeah, the
You
budget
know,
requirements.
just like I just said, it doesn't pay to stick 8 to 10,000 in 2 patches and tear it up in 2 weeks, or 2 years. You know,
You get what I'm saying,
yeah, but same as
Okay.
Green Bay, you know? I mean, Green Bay was my top priority,
it just seems like.
but as soon as we knew that this was gonna be a good thing, me and Bill got together and said, let's put a timeout on Green Bay, cause we don't know what they're gonna do.
It just seems as though you often to be very agreeable, probably, that's all I'll say.
Well, if it makes sense, I mean,
You know what I mean.
yeah.
And what part of, not to just talk about streets all the time, but it is a huge expense. I haven't talked to the town board, but what's their theory or what's their feeling on helping fund it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they don't want to. I talked to Barb about it and they think that it's too expensive to fix. In regards to Gavney, we did the initial urban street of that section, so we're talking going east to west from J to that turn. I think the 2012 estimate of it was $450,000. That's a full urban street with the parking space next to the aquatic center. I did have them give me a preliminary expense cost estimate of what it would be for a rural street, and we're looking at about $320,000 there for that. I don't, current section is rural, with it being half a town road, maybe that's the way to go. I don't know. Raleigh's looking at me like I'm crazy.
Do we own it?
We own the south side of it. The way that Whistler breaks it up is it's not where the property line is, but if it's a municipal road, or if it's a boundary road, what they do is take the distance and they divide it by half. And we researched this, and whoever you talk to, and when it was when the board chairman was John Schultz, and then talking with the property owners there and looking at the maps and looking at the history, it does look to be on the side of the city. However, the way that Whistler breaks it up is it doesn't matter as long as it's a boundary road, it's split in half. We did have a survey also. If you go up there and look at it, and you look at the map, all the asphalt right now is on the city side, not on the township.
How much less is drive over curb than regular curb and gutter?
$3 a foot
Less.
less.
Problem again, this is really a budget thing, we can discuss this some other time, but the problem I see with a town street, there's a lot of traffic on that road. And if it just keeps breaking apart more and more and more, we just replace it that much sooner, that's my opinion. You get in the spring of the year, and if the road's not wide enough,
Well-
everybody gets to the edge and then it breaks apart. They got another problem up by the school, so.
Yeah, maybe the idea here is to budget for, say, 2020 or 2021, I don't know if we can wait that long. Or even 2019 and go to the.
So they don't wanna fix it at all. We should go to them and open up the dialogue and say, this is what we would like to see done, we understand the cost.
Or even if there's a payment plan.
Or if you guys wanna do it this way, this is your cost for year and a half, this is what you guys should reimburse us the least expensive way. But we wanna make it better, so we'll pay the difference. I just see that
Well,
getting broke up and looking,
it's gonna get more traffic on it when St. Joseph turns one
One
way.
way.
So,
It's just-
traffic's going to increase on there.
there's just a lot of traffic on that road.
Would the town ever turn it over to the city?
That was
Yeah.
my question. Can you move the boundary enough to?
I don't know the right of way is there, but the town doesn't own that fee simple. So It's owned by Richard Ching on the south side of that property. And so to get that into the city, he would have to annex it to the city. The city, the county, the township doesn't have control whether or not it can be, I don't think they have control of whether or not it can be deeded to the city or not.
Both.
Yeah.
That's just, that's not for tonight, sorry. Sorry to get you.
So you can see here that again, we're putting $25,000 away for the garbage truck. Eventual replacement of that, and then you can see that the capital improvement project went up approximately $30,000 there. I did want to talk about the plow truck. So in 2017, we did put away $20,000 for the plow truck, and if you remember earlier this year, we tried to bid for a plow truck. Our current plow truck, although usable, has certain rust issues. And so Raleigh came up with a plan to build and purchase a truck that is similar, small plow truck that is similar to this. And what this would do would essentially be utilized as a plow truck during the winter, and then utilized as a field truck during the summer, and would essentially replace two vehicles, this plow truck and this field truck in the long term. And Raleigh, you can talk more about the additional benefits of that. Having a smaller, lighter vehicle, being able to do what it does.
What spurred it was, last year before that one ice storm, our salt truck broke down. The county had 3 or 4 of them broke down, and we had to scramble to get it back together. And that arose the question, if that's the right word, what do we do for something for a backup? And this was a plan to get us a backup, yet provide a plow truck for a little more than half of what a new big plow truck costs. You're gonna have 140 to 150,000 in a new one. And the used ones, like I said, I went and looked at that one. That was a dandy. I mean, we could have got that, but the beauty of this is it's 4-wheel drive. I could change the routes around, do a lot of the little stuff with that. Now everyone's got an area where I could, we've discussed how we could switch things around. The biggest thing with it is it gives us a backup. We keep our old salt truck, but yet have this one, so. And, in a bad, say you get another ice storm, you could have 2 of them out at once, or if something breaks down, you got at least something to fall back on. The county did not have one, and the town wasn't gonna give one of theirs up. It's an ice storm, everybody wants them, everybody needs them. So this is what I came up with. It's a way of eliminating, sooner or later, we're gonna have to replace that one pickup, the one Bill showed you, cause that's like Fred Flintstone already up the floor. So it's a way of, spring comes, we pull the salter off
You
the
don't have
back.
any feed bags or anything you can throw in the
Yeah.
floor there or something?
We set the fuel tank on there, strap it down, and that's our fuel truck for the summer, so. Basically eliminate, one vehicle out of the fleet. So
That's a 550?
Yeah. Question came up, is it gonna be heavy enough? Well, when you're loaded down, it's gonna be 19.5, our small loader weighs 17. So, it tells me it's gonna be heavy enough.
Yep.
And the real beauty of it's gonna be, the other thing that's, I think's gonna pay for this thing in time, is gonna be, at night when the cop calls me at 10 o'clock and says, hey, we got an inch of snow and it's slippery and you gotta go out. I go with just the salt truck. Well, there's times like on Putz's Hill, 7, 8, 9 times I try to get up there. I'll spin out and I'll go around the block and do something else, come back, make it another 30 feet. With this, I believe you're gonna be able to, it'd be a rubber blade on the plow. So then like when I go out and do that, I can plow the intersections out as I salt them. I think we're gonna save oodles of money in salt at $3,500 a semi-load. Because instead of pounding it to her, you know, when there's 2 inches of that slushy crap, I at least get the driving lanes cleared off. After Ashley's out, they don't worry about it from 1 AM till 4 AM, and then we come out at 4 and have at her, you know. So, I personally think we're gonna save a lot of money in salt by having something like this. So,
So with that being said, and the budget amount of $65,000 plus the $20,000 from last year, we'd be able to get a new truck. A used truck is estimated at approximately $60,000. And then $10,000 we have here for the street sweeper whenever that turns over. As far as the police capital budget, in 2017, we did not trade in the vehicle or a truck, and so in 2018, we're scheduled to trade in one of the trucks. I believe Diana is debating whether she wants to get a truck, an SUV, and I think a sedan is out of the question currently.
We've always had the best trade-in value on the truck, and that's why we've been doing the trucks.
I think when she asked me, I said, well, there's no harm in seeing what the price is and what trade-in, there's enough police departments that have SUVs. Should be able to research what they're getting in trade. That's really what it's gonna come down to, Joe. And she doesn't have a feeling one way or the other.
For the rec department and aquatics, you see here, $2,000 to be put away for the baseball, softball fields. They're in need of resurfacing, repair. $2,000 for the rec center parking lot. $2,500 for the eventual replacement of the pool heater. $1,300 for the landing pad for the frog. That is urgent. And then $6,000 for the slide restoration. I believe that's rusting. Those are the urgent items that Ella has proposed to save for. And then the overall capital improvement budget, you can see an increase of approximately $9,000. So all of the items that did not make it are listed here. And you can take a look at that. Raleigh, did we ever get that Connex for emergency coordination? Or the Connex to put the sandbags in?
no,
No?
because I priced that out. I'm still kind of playing with the idea of what we wanna do, because we couldn't, I was informed that you can't just take it and put a box like that and put that much weight in it,
Okay,
because when you try to lift it, it's gonna flex.
yeah,
So I'm playing with some other ideas.
okay.
How would it work to set a can down there?
Down where?
Isn't that where we use the sandbags the most?
Yeah, but the whole idea was that we got that truck, you know, to be able to be mobile.
Yeah.
I actually talked to the guy that built that one box for us, and he said, well, if you could get some stuff rounded up in what you want, he said I could possibly build. We paid $7,200 for that other box, brand new. So,
Okay, so take a look at that, and if there's anything on there that you believe is urgent, let me know. Do want to state that Raleigh does have a plan for replacement of the tractor, and another, the secondary plow truck. That's not for another 2 to 4 years, so that does not show up on here. It'll show up in the capital improvement plan. So, just so I didn't forget that.
yeah, and not to go into detail, but that's another 2-for-1 deal. Just because it just pains me, you know, that street sweeper, it's a necessary evil. It's $200,000 and you use it 150 hours a year, and it sits there and looks at you the rest of the time. You know, I mean, you guys just gotta make stuff multi-use, you know, that red truck, look at how much we use that. It's the way to go. I mean, everybody's doing it. So,
So on page 19 are the special accounts, particularly the fire board, the ambulance, and the library budgets. You see the fire budget went up approximately $9,000. The ambulance, what was proposed, actually gone down $200. And the library budget we have here $127,000, but if you were considering the 5%, it's actually going to be up to 131,500. In the ambulance budget that was proposed, you see in there a 15% increase in health insurance. That's not correct. The health insurance currently is, we're projecting 11%, but we believe that's gonna go lower to 9%. And then in regards to the library budget, they pay their health insurance, but we pay their HRA expenses, so that, I'll leave it out there for you to discuss that. And then debt service budget, again, this does not include the projects that we're taking on this year in Turner Creek, which we do not know if FEMA is gonna provide the funding for that. The last I heard, FEMA dollars have been frozen. Myers Valley Creek, which is currently, we're working to get that scheduled to get paid back by the TIF. We're hoping that FEMA will pay back for that, but again, if FEMA dollars are tied up, then we'll be on the debt schedule to TIF. And then Oak Street, that's going out to bid, currently out to bid, and the bid opening date is October 18th, 2 o'clock. And then we'll have a special council meeting after that. But DOT has received our petition, and that's at 75%. The deal with DOT, we have to pay for the project, and then they will reimburse us. So that's how that works. They're waiting for official word from FEMA also. And then the numbers on the tax increment districts are what follows. So that's in short the budget as proposed. Take a look at that, and if you need a colored print, we can do that for you. Stop by if you want. Stop by tomorrow morning and pick them up. We can have that ready, or tomorrow afternoon.
Which one was it? Alan.
Mine looks like that.
Well, again, I'd like to thank Bill and Angela for,
Yep, thanks.
it's always nice to have a document in front of you for a while to look at.
And then just want to mention that once we have a pretty good handle on what the budget is, I will update the capital improvement plan, and then we can pass the budget and the plan together so that that's updated.
Questions? If you don't have any tonight, feel free to, you know how to get a hold of the two people. They appreciate your questions, right, Angela?
Yeah, any
Comments?
additional comments or questions? I think the more information we have, the better we will be in a position to answer and provide a presentation of it.
Item 8B, discussion of possible action on public facilities maintenance repairs. First of all, the rec center roof.
So the rec center roof, as you know, we filed a claim on it, and the insurance company is willing to pay for it, but with a $1% deductible. They previously thought it was 1% of damage cost, but that is not correct. It's 1% of the building value. And the building is valued at $1,318,282.
How the hell they come up with that price?
So
I was wondering if we could, what was my comment, Bill? I said, can we sell it to somebody for that?
right? So the deductible is $13,182.82.
And again, the full replacement of the roof, the repairs to the two rooms, the exercise room and the fitness room. And that's estimated to cost approximately $70,000.
I thought that was the price of the building.
No, that's the cost of the replace. So, question is there value to replacing it? It is something that's been discovered in insurance now, so it's gonna be listed there and thus we depreciate the building value. If you were to repair it, now would be the time to do so. Floor was recently repaired, and then start thinking about, you know, if you have a repaired roof and a repaired floor, and the community center project, conversation, you know, what do you do with this building afterwards? You know, do you sell it at that value?
You'll never get that value. I wanna see when Glenn Wright looked at it once, it was only valued like in the 70,000s, and like 73,000.
Yeah, that was the first, so then he had two other ones that were like 230 and 245. You get
Whose value is
245,
this?
run with
Who
it.
come up with this number?
Insurance company.
They're not assessors or appraisers though, how do they come up with that? That's what I'd like to know. You know, am I right or am I right?
Well, we can always challenge, we can always appeal that and
Well, I would say-
see where we go from there.
That's a little out of hand.
Unless we can sell it.
Well, if you can sell for
We'll
1.3,
call them,
then
yeah.
that's us all.
Put that new roof on it, we'd really go.
Well, and that's the thing, I mean, we can patch it and go by, but we still have a damaged roof. And then do we end up, if nothing happens in 5 or 7 years, fixing the roof?
Well,
You know, that's what we talked about.
You need to repair the roof, there's no doubt about it, cause you got the floor done.
And I think,
Well,
you
no.
know, and can it add $13,000 in value and we're selling it, saying we got a new roof? I think so. Otherwise, that's gonna be the first thing they're gonna say, is, well, you just had it patched, if we try selling it.
well,
The roof has still got hail damage and blah, 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 well,
we might be using that building
for
for a
longer.
long time, for longer.
I don't see, I would say, fix it and be done with it.
I mean, Billy, you can certainly ask if, to bring Adam's
Yeah,
point,
I can ask
I
where
don't
they got that
see that being a
value.
problem
That's
at all.
outrageous.
And if we can get an assessment or see what their assessment report on that is.
And I
Saying that we
think
don't
we should
believe.
have you know, the last time we looked at selling it to Glen Ridge, I think we have an appraisal.
Okay.
How
We can,
long
we
ago
can
was
find
that?
that.
Not terribly.
5 years?
Oh,
Five
okay.
years.
And I don't, you know, I don't know what,
Didn't triple in value.
and we'll have to get a breakdown of how they value it, because they may be valuing more than just the building
Oh, no,
itself,
hold on.
the lot, the business that is contributed to it. I don't know what they do as far as estimating it. We'll get that. And then second here, I'll bring that back here so that, you know, we all know. So the second item here is, so the council previously approved a fix to the flashing on the roof on the backside of this building here. And there was a small part in there where it crosses electric and crosses HVAC, so air conditioning, piping. And what he had wanted us to do was get that removed and secured so that he can fix that. And when we contacted Slavi Electric about coming to do that, well, first of all, they gave me an estimate of approximately $3,000 just to do that. But then that they couldn't guarantee that the air conditioners would turn back on because they're old, they haven't been maintained. And so, they gave me a price for a new HVAC system and would mount it to the back of the building instead of on top of the roof, so it'd be easier to maintain. But that estimate was approximately $16,000, which I think for a building this old and considering what we would like to do with it, I don't know if you wanna stick $16,000 into a new HVAC system. I did talk to the roofing contractor, he can do about 90% of the fix of the flashing. And then throw tar or throw some kind of sealant on the rest of the 10%. Unless you guys wanna fix the HVAC system, and that's probably what.
How
that's
about
probably what's
getting
the
another bid?
mistakes. For the HVAC?
Yeah, Paul Schaffner can see what,
I agree, I mean, you don't know how long we're gonna be in here, maybe like 60,000 is.
For full replacement, or to see if they can do that?
well, you got a bid for 17,000 for a new system, see what theirs is.
Yeah, check all options.
But yeah, see if they would fix it. You know, if they would unhook it and hook it back up.
Well, I think, Slavy Electric will do it too, they just can't guarantee that.
Right.
Right.
And we could go ahead and do it, well, there's three choices here, we can do it without relocating or reconnecting, which is pretty much a temporary fix. We can do it and relocate it, redo it and rehook it up and run the rest of them not turning on, and then the other will fit, the only one fit at that point. Or we can do the full replacement right away.
And that's just the air conditioner that they can't replace?
That's replacing the air conditioner, and because it's just an old system, it's the ductwork with it. The difference is that if they come and disconnect it and rehook it up, and they have to come back again, there's a different hookup charge. But I'll call Schaffner's and see if they do want to do that. What price that is.
Well, there should be a schedule, you know, that's something that we should put on all our buildings.
Yeah, that and
You
a lot
know,
more.
you, cause you said, what's that?
That and a lot more.
Oh, I know, but it, you know, even if it's every other year,
Yeah, there's things like roof,
for minimum, you know,
tuck pointing, windows upstairs are in rough shape.
you just say that, cause that's where your office is.
Well, actually, I tape
Have
my
you-
windows,
have
they're
you-
fine now, but it's the windows in the evidence room that are leaking, so.
Wearing your snow pants and heavy coat in the wintertime, right?
Maybe not heavy, but,
Coat nonetheless, right?
He just builds a fire up there.
use the wood from the floor, right?
Yeah.
So that's all I have for the maintenance items.
City Hall's not very nice, Bill trying to stay warm.
You'd make the news, wouldn't you? Any questions? Hearing none, we'll move on to item 8C, discussion of possible approval of department head job descriptions for the clerk, treasurer, operations superintendent, park director, and police chief.
I'm in a city council meeting.
Angela got this from Eva,
I'll
our
call you
parks
back,
director.
okay?
These are some items that she would like
Yep.
added. I think they're, Bill, you have a copy of that?
Yeah, so I've seen a copy. I'm good.
They're all very valid points and should be added in there.
I agree. And keep in mind, the personnel policy manual states that job description will be reviewed at least every 5 years. So, you know, if approved, and updated and signed off on, it doesn't mean that if something changes next month that you guys can't come back and revisit them.
It's really neat, like job description.
So,
I mean,
it's a lot of stuff goes on. Person doesn't realize it from the outside.
Yeah, and adult cleaning. That's a full-time job itself.
Any questions on any of the job descriptions, comments, concerns? Well, I'd entertain a motion to approve with the additions that Emma has described be added into hers.
So move.
Second by Slusher, second by Feltus. Clerk will call the roll.
Mezek?
Yes.
Olsted?
Yes.
Slusher?
Yes.
Feltes?
Yep.
Motion carries. Item 8D, approved building permit for Wadowitz storage units.
So move.
Motion by Feltus, second by Mazak. This will be located.
Beyond Shopko.
Yeah, south, I guess south of
Between-
Shopko.
Between it's the lot between Shopko and the cemetery. And you would access it off of Clydesdale Drive, so.
Is he gonna use the driveway that's there right now to do that?
Correct.
So he's gonna own the land from the curb going west?
Correct. West to the front lot, so there's that front lot that,
Okay, because we currently mow that, where that driveway is, so that's gonna be his baby from now on. Okay.
Yep.
So I don't know.
Perfect,
why
right?
do we, why do we know that?
Somebody's got it.
The same reason we plowed Dan's parking lot for years, I have no idea, but that's what we've always done. So,
I know whoever did that.
I mean, it's only a little stretch, but still,
Yeah.
you know. I think it's 4 or 5 passes with the mower, so, and 100 feet long, so.
Any questions in regards to the building permit? Hearing none, clerk will call the roll.
Olsted?
Yes.
Slusher?
Yes.
Feltes?
Yep.
Mezek?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 8D, adopt ordinance 2017-2, limit parking at additional locations on Monroe Street.
So move.
Motion by Feltus, is there a second?
I'll second it.
By Colstead. Any questions? Mr. has a dog grooming business and people park there all the time and her customers can't utilize the parking spot. Long and short of why would she like those spots to be temporary parking?
signage put up there then, or?
Is there 2 spots from her driveway back to the corner?
Yeah, I
Or is
seen
it one
two-
on each side of the
Oh,
driveway?
I've seen 2 cars parked there.
Yeah,
Okay,
I don't, they might be encroaching on yellow.
cause there's that fire hydrant on that. Isn't there a fire hydrant right on that corner too? Is that farther up?
I don't think
Or is
there's.
it
there's a
just
fire
yellow?
hydrant right by the electric building.
Oh, okay.
I saw 2 cars parked there, so
Okay,
just maybe paint it so that there's 2 spots. Or maybe just put the signage there that it's 30 minute mark. Yeah, 30
Yeah.
minute
30-minute parking.
I'll put a permanent and I'll put a temporary there that draws attention
Okay.
for a while, till
Yep.
the snow flies.
Any questions? Clerk will call the roll.
Slusher?
Yes.
Feltes?
Absolutely.
Mezek?
Yes.
Olsted?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 9A, approved bills of general account in the amount of $189,543.86.
So move, not to exceed.
Motion by Feltus, second by Mazak.
She was just headed home, yeah.
Any questions?
What?
That was a question,
Oh, I
God, I knew. I get a little worried when nobody asks a question.
I see Davey gave it to us again.
Yep.
You sound surprised?
Reconstruction design.
Any
Correct
other
me if
que-
I'm wrong, Maple Street,
Maybe.
you got all blacktop laid on that, but McKinley we don't?
Right,
McKinley, we have the first layer.
1 layer on McKinley,
So why'd we do both on one and not,
because the depth of the dig on McKinley was anywhere down to 19.5 feet. And they're concerned about, you know, soft spots or
Settling.
settling. Yeah, Joe, we gotta plow it, it's difficult, we've done that before.
You know,
It's
it
tough.
costs us a lot more money. Concrete contractors charge us more because we're not having a double layer, cause they gotta come back and fix all the damage.
That was Davy's call. I would've just as soon seen it too. And I'm a firm believer that if it's put back in correctly, that then it should be okay, but
Are we done with Myers Valley Creek now?
We're still waiting for the final pay request to come in on that. aren't we?
Yes, and I'm sure we haven't finalized out on the engineering.
Any other questions? Clerk will call the roll.
Feltes,
Yes.
Mazik,
Yes.
Olson.
Yes.
Flusher.
Yes.
Motion carries.
can I make a comment real quick?
Sure.
On the bills, you seen that there was a bill for a new water fountain?
Oh,
in the
you
park?
wait till we approve them and then you ask.
No, but the water fountain that was in the park is now in our shop and we got rid of the water bubbler, so we won't have no more water bills up there. Just so you guys know that. Remember the water bills from Arcadia Beverage?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's done, so.
I gotta come up there with my water bottle.
There you go.
Well, after all, we do have the best tasting water in the state.
Well, I just,
That should make Mr. Straw happy.
that came up a number of times, so now I've
We'll move
installed
on
the
to number
bubbler.
10. Discussion on possible action on operator license. We have none this evening. 10B, picnic permits. Item
So
1
moved.
associated for, motion by Feltus, second by Mazak, for the Associated Conservation Club of Tripoli County on the 14th. Any questions? Clerk will call the roll.
Mazik,
Yes.
Olsted.
Yes.
Flusher.
Yes.
Feltes.
Yep.
Motion carries. Item 2, Arcadia Historical Society Harvest Dinner.
So moved.
Motion by Slusher, is there a second?
Second.
Feltus, any questions? Clerk will call the roll.
Olsted.
Yes.
Flusher.
Yes.
Feltes.
Yeah.
Mazik.
Yes.
Motion carries. Future agenda items. Mr. Slusher, nothing from me.
Not at this time.
I'm wondering about the air quality study or whatever. I believe you were going to be looking into that.
We were, I got the person that called me back said that they can't do public buildings. And so she was going to look into getting us another contact person, and I've not seen that, so I can touch base with her again.
Yeah, I like that followed up because when I walked in here tonight, the stench
And this
could
is
just knock a
really-
person over.
Yeah, Marlis, we've
Right
had
over
to
there.
send some people home.
Pardon?
We had to send Judy home one day, a couple months ago, because of the air quality.
Well,
Seriously?
I'm sure that's why we need to follow up on this and, before there are some
Yep.
health.
I'll call her, and if she can't give us a name, that's just the tough part, is finding someone that will do.
Well, maybe someone at the
Public
health
buildings.
department could direct you.
The furnace for the electric utility building will be on the next agenda. We have discussed that.
How about
You
that?
missed that meeting. Joe brought it up when we were at the joint utility.
Is that in the budget?
Taking out that railroad
Joint.
bridge.
He asked about
Taking out that railroad
as
bridge.
long as he had everybody
I
there.
have it on my.
Yeah, digging out the railroad bridge. Put that on the next agenda.
Get estimates on that yet?
No, I didn't get any estimates on it, but we've got the green light to do it.
I think
Until
we
the end of
can,
March.
well, then when this project is bid out, it should also be not to exceed a certain amount. Cause I think last year the bid came in and the price was higher, if I recall.
We're trying to do this year yet?
Of course.
Well, if you don't do it before March
Then,
30th, or
then you might
whatever
have
it
to pay
was,
for a
31st.
railman, right, or
Well, you're still gonna have to pay for a flagman this time. But the permit runs out, it was a 3-year permit.
Yeah, it was as far as financing it, you know, if it's this year's budget.
They
we'll have
won't
to build it
overlook the flagman thing,
Into the,
Not a chance.
really.
Ain't gonna happen. The train goes through and it doesn't come back till the next day, doesn't matter. You still will get a flagman that they provide you for $1,300 per day.
Is that a
Data
certain-
engineering.
Don't you have that old salt truck you could park on the
Yeah.
track somewhere?
Is there a certain footage in there?
You cannot be within 25 feet with any sort of excavator or anything like that. It's a racket, I'm telling you.
Alright, we'll move on, entertain a motion to go into closed session. Motion by Slusher, is there a second? By Feltes. Clerk will call the roll.
Slusher?
Yes.
Feltes?
Yep.
Mezek?
yes.
Olsted?
Yes.
Motion carries. Okay, we're in open session. Item 14, possible action on hiring full-time officer pending background check, pre-employment drug screen, physical and psych evaluation.
I'll make a motion to hire Brock Olson, pending background check, pre-employment drug screening, and physical and psych evaluation.
Second.
Motion by Mezek, second by Feltes. Any questions? Clerk will call the roll.
Slusher?
Yes.
Feltes?
Yes.
Mezek?
Yes.
Olsted?
Yes.
Motion carries. Upcoming meetings, Monday, October 16th,
That's a really bad day.
2017. Vikings play
No,
Monday Night
no,
Football.
that's parent teacher conferences.
Oh, I know, Garrett called today.
3:45 to what, 7:45 or whatever, and then the next day they have it, it's like 8 to noon when you're working. So I might have to miss,
Okay.
so just so you know,
I'm impressed that you're going.
I always do.
Good for
He
you.
doesn't
I was
want
gonna
to
say
go
the
in.
the bid opening is on that Wednesday, the 18th, so.
Would you guys be interested in just moving it to the 18th? And doing it all on one night?
Well, I won't be here the 18th, but it does, that's fine.
I don't see any.
You're gonna have parent-teacher conferences too.
Well, yeah.
I know I'm going to, I'm gonna get that as soon as I go
Are
home.
they at the parochial school same time as the public school?
Public school's doing it different this year.
Okay, I know we got conferences that, I can't remember which day. I don't see a problem with it as of right now, until I talk to the headquarters. She knows my schedule better than I do, so,
Your events planner?
You man.
pretty much.
Well, we can, and we can find out, can wait for you to.
Yeah.
Well, right now, we'll just leave it tentatively set up for the 16th. And we'll go from
He's like me, she's the CFO, the CEO.
Motion by Mason.
CEO.
Second.
by Slusher. Clerk will call the roll. That's a
Slusher?
motion
Yes.
to adjourn.
Feltes?
Yes.
Mezek?
I
Yes.
heard that one.
Olsted?
Yes.
Where's this from?